Hi everyone, I welcome all the divine souls on my YouTube channel, which is Twinflame Realities. So as I said in my previous video that it's not necessary that every twin flame comes in a family whose bloodline has been cursed or has generational trauma or heavy generational trauma. So it all depends, and you only know whether you have come in such kind of family or not. And I have already shared several videos on ancestral healing topic, wherein I have made a particular video that how can you identify whether you have come in a cursed family or not, whether generational trauma is there or not. That actually can be seen or recognized in terms of repeating patterns and signs. So if you have not watched that video, please go ahead and watch that. So if you are a particular twin flame who has come in a family who has been cursed, that too long time back, and has generational trauma, that too heavy one, and you think you have started your energy healing work without performing ancestral healing ritual. There are several steps for this, and without doing that you have started your chakra healing or some other kind of energy work. That will not give you that level of results which you are supposed to have it in your life. So ancestral healing is the root of a bloodline of a family. That is the reason when it comes about doing the inner work in twin flame journey, first you should know whether your family has generational trauma or not, whether this has been cursed or not, and it is quite easy to recognize in terms of patterns. So if you are sure that your family has been cursed or family has heavy generational trauma, then in that case you can follow this guidance what I am sharing in my videos. And if you do not have such a cursed or heavy generational trauma, then I advise to skip these videos, because curse healing is not an easy task. It is actually a very challenging process, and if you are a twin flame, then you will have to do it on your own. No one else can do it on your behalf, because you are a divine child and you hold all sort of powers within yourself to remove and heal any kind of curse from your bloodline. So there are many people who are actually providing such kind of services, who claim that they can do these ancestral healing on your behalf. So that is definitely can be performed, but for normal humans. But if you are a twin flame and you have such family, it will be done through you only. You have that power, so you don't need to be scared. It's just that there are steps which you will have to follow, and I will tell you every step what I followed, and accordingly you can follow that. But as ancestral curse healing is not a easy task, that is the reason I have kept on focusing you to more focus on spiritual protection, because it is really necessary for you. Because what I experienced when I started healing these this curse and generational trauma, I was heavily attacked on my health, so that I stopped doing all those rituals and prayers and other things what I had to perform to do that healing. So that is the reason every video I have shared on my channel is must for a real twin flame to listen. Specifically your house protection and each and every thing I have shared about protecting your energies, you need to follow that guidance. So if there is a curse or ancestral healing is required, then in that case, because of that issue, a person actually faces lot of trouble in their life, in every area of their life, specifically their love relationship, their professional life and personal life, including their health also. So that is the reason this healing is must. And so when you actually start this healing, you will start seeing a lot of positive changes in your own life, and also those positive changes can be seen in your entire family's life. So I have also shared a particular video what positive changes can be seen once this curse has been healed, or after the birth of twin flame. There are signs when again a divine child, which is a twin flame, is a blessing for a family. So once they are born, they start receiving some sort of or several kinds of positive things in their life. So go ahead and watch that video also. That will help, that will give you a lot of clarity. So there are several twin flames when they got to know about this journey, this twin flame connection, that they are a divine child. So because of knowing this twin flame connection, they actually started doing their chakra healing and other kinds of energy work, so that they can be in a reunion with their, that twin flame. Specifically, it is a karmic twin flame who they are focused on, because that's how you get to know about this, twin flame connection, through karmic twin flame only. So, and they have not done anything for this ancestral healing. So what happens, they keep on draining their energies, they do not see any sort of a positive outcome in their life, and then they get into, frustration energy. So remember, this is the first step for your inner work, that you have to do this in ancestral healing. So as I said earlier, whether it is the ancestral curse healing or generational trauma healing, it can not be healed in a day or in an year time, and not just with one ritual. It is actually a time taking process and also a challenging task, because when it comes about ancestral curse or generational trauma, both can be seen in patterns. So now you know which generation you belongs to. I actually belongs to the 15th generation. So I realized kinds of trauma which was created, in the bloodline in past 14 generations. That was lot of work actually. So there were a lot of patterns which I got to see in my family, which were repeated. So you actually need to have a lot of patience when it comes about healing your this curse or this generational trauma, as this is not possible to be healed with just one ritual or one prayer or in a month's time. It will take time. I actually completed my entire inner work, including that ancestral curse healing, generational trauma healing, within 3.5 years. So that was exact total time which I took. So after my awakening, when I got to know that I have come in a bloodline who has been cursed, then I actually wanted to know how it was cursed and how long it was, cursed. So there were a guidance which I was provided, and I got to know that, it was, this family was actually cursed thousands of years ago. So I understood it is actually going to take a lot of time. So that time I did not know how much time it will take, but then I was actually walking one step, another, and then I was actually given all the guidance through my ancestors and through divine. So I kept on doing, and you will be able to do it on your own. It's just that you need to stay protected, and you will have to follow the entire guideline, whether it is related to your house cleansing or house protection or changing your habits. So now understand, if the family was cursed thousands of years ago, wherein I cannot even count how many types of toxic patterns existed in that family. So that was not an easy task. So please do remember, there is no shortcut to ancestral curse healing or generational trauma healing. So as I got to know about this, curse after my awakening, then I started looking at the patterns. I still had to reconfirm some of the patterns, which were repeated in the family, in the bloodline. So I started, checking information with the older women in the family. So I have said earlier also, when there is a family which was cursed long time back, not in this current generation, or there are heavy generational trauma, there are high chances that evil entities do exist as human form. They do reincarnate, so that curse should not be healed, because they are the toxic ones. They are the ones who are involved into black magic. And when I started reconfirming these patterns, and I told them that I want to know about this ancestral like bloodline information, they started playing tricks, that if they start making fun of me, or they will gather a lot of relatives and they will say, like, she's such an educated person, what she's talking about, and then I will actually back out. But I was clear, I knew they are evil entities and they are reptilians, but they were immediate people, and they were the contact with whom I had to check this information. So how do they try to stop you when you start healing this, generational trauma or ancestral curse healing? These entities who exist in human form, when they will not be able to distract you, or when they start telling you this is all illusion, you should not be focused, and still you do not believe them, still you do not listen to them, then they will try to create lot of drama as fights, among other family members, so that you gets involved and you forget about that healing. So this will happen, so be ready for that. So entities who have reincarnated as a human in a family, if they are evil entities, you will find most of them are actually involved into black magic, and they are the narcissistic people who always gaslight, manipulate, cheat and deceit, and then always part of drama, or are becoming the reason for creating trauma, or a lot of dramatic things in a family. So, as they are evil entities, they are well aware about the ancestral curse, and they are aware about their existence and their role in that family, in that bloodline. So, they know if you will be able to free this bloodline from this curse, then they will start becoming weak in terms of their power, in terms of their control, and they do not want that thing to happen. That is the reason they try to distract you in so many ways. Also, when you perform the initial ritual for ancestral healing, you will start getting a lot of blessings and protection from your ancestors. And ancestors do protect you from all kinds of black magic and all kinds of evil entities attack without even you asking for that thing. So remember, this is such a blessing to have the blessings of your ancestors. That is the reason it is necessary for a twin flame and also for a normal human being to take care of their ancestors. You have to perform those rituals time to time. And do remember, once you perform the initial ritual for ancestral healing, and if there are evil entities in your bloodline who exist as human, they will start they will also be punished through your ancestors in different ways. It's not necessary that they will be a spirit attack on them, but no, they do get exposed and they do get punished for hurting you, for doing wrong things to you. I am from India, and in my religion, ancestors are worshipped before God. So that's how they are so important for. They are so important in my religion, in my culture, and I believe that ancestral healing is being performed in every religion except one, and that was actually part of some big plan on earth that I will share in upcoming video. So it is a time taking process, and number of things, rituals, prayers needs to be performed to heal this ancestral curse. And how much time will you take? I am not sure. I can only guide you through steps and you can follow that. And when you do that, you are even also attacked spiritually, specifically on your health. So that is the reason you should start taking care of your health now. If you have not taken care till now, you will have to change your eating habits, start eating healthy foods, and I have talked about mantra chantings. You please start that so that you can get ready to perform these rituals. So you should be protected all time in all ways when it comes about your physical body, your spiritual body, and your house. These three things should be completely under spiritual protection. In case you want to heal this curse, then only it is possible. So if you think you can ignore any area of your life, if especially your physical body or your house, then it is going to be such a difficult task for yourself. One more information, when I look at my own journey, initially after my awakening, as I have shared in my story, when I started sharing my twin flame story, I could see that the karmic twin flame has also come in a family which was cursed. It is still cursed and will remain cursed. And why that healing was not possible, I have already shared that. But then when I completed my entire inner work, and when my divine masculine's face was shown to me in 3D, his identity, I look at him and his family. He has not come in a cursed family. He has actually come in a blessed family. So there is no curse. So I only got to see his face, my divine masculine's identity, when I actually healed the entire curse. So this is the difference. So my divine masculine's ancestors are actually known as highly spiritual people in India. So they are well-known people, and they have been blessed. So I was actually amazed that how this journey has been, that I came in a particular family, but he has not come in such kind of family. But then this karmic twin flame has actually played a very big role in my life, and I'm actually feeling blessed for this journey. When you perform first ritual for ancestral healing, that is still easy and you will be able to do it. But when you start doing establishment of divine energies into your bloodline, then evil entities who have reincarnated as human in your family, they will start actually troubling you and distracting you in so many ways, because there are further steps which you will have to follow once you perform the first ritual. Because evil entities who are existing as human in your family, in your bloodline, they must have a lot of control over you or other people in your family, and they do not want to lose that. So remember, they will try to, most of the time they'll try to distract you through fights only. So when you start curse healing, then you will actually face so many challenges, but know that you don't have to stop. You have the power. That is the reason you have taken a birth in this particular family, to free this bloodline, from this curse, from this trauma. So I was thrown a lot of challenges during that healing process, but I knew I hold the power and I am not going to stop, and I will not let any entity or any entity who exists in human form to stop me. So I actually became so stubborn when it came about, healing this bloodline, and that has been helping me a lot. So ancestral curse healing is not just about performing rituals or doing prayers. As there are heavy generational traumas, you will have to break those karmic, those toxic patterns and cycles. And the best part of this journey is you do not have to ask to make any kind of changes in other person. You just have to keep on making all sort of changes within yourself. So it is quite easy to make changes within ourselves, but it is quite challenging and also impossible when it comes about asking other people to make changes in their life. So you don't have to do anything like that. It's just that you have to keep on making and bringing positive changes in your own life. And breaking a toxic pattern and a cycle is again going to be a challenging thing. But then I will share steps how can you do that, and then only you can perform those things, and you will be able to break all kinds of toxic cycles in your life. So since my childhood, I used to fall sick again and again almost every week, and I was in ninth standard when I got my birth chart. So there only I got to know that there is ancestral healing which is required, and because of this issue, the healing which is required, I'm actually falling sick again and again. So if this healing can be done, I will start having positive changes into my health. So as I was facing a lot of health issues, and when I got to know about this, ancestral healing, so I told my mother that to perform a particular ritual for ancestors. So she actually used to ignore, but then I also kept on telling her, and then she started donating uncooked food to a temple, or sometimes to poor and needy people, specifically on new moon or once in a year. But I was actually guided that it should be a cooked food and should be a proper offering to the ancestors. But then my mother never did that. She always kept on donating that uncooked food to poor needy people. But then the guidance was that ancestor needs to be offered a cooked meal at home. So as my mother kept on ignoring that thing whenever I used to tell her to do proper offerings, so what I did, when I started staying alone, when I came outside my house for doing my job in 2011, I actually started performing that ritual. Like I used to cook food, whatever I was guided, the sattvic food, and I used to give it to poor needy people, and sometimes at temple to a priest. So I started doing this since 2011, and from 2011 to till 2013, and I did not face any health issues except some cold and cough, which was again because of new moon and full moon only. And I didn't even experience a lot of stress or anxiety for that period. But I actually stopped doing this thing since 2014, because my health was spoiled because of that black magic through that tantric was doing. I have already shared that story that I actually met a tantric during that time in 2014, wherein I was staying at a place where this person was I think husband of my owner's friend. So what that tantric was doing, that destroying my health through black magic, and I was sitting at his place one day. So he said that all of a sudden that you are falling sick again and again these days. So I said yes. And then he said, my ancestors are actually disturbing my health. So I said, what can be the solution? So he said, I can do a cord cutting with your ancestors. So he said, if you are okay with that. So I said, if my health can be, can have positive impact and positive changes because of this cord cutting, so you can go ahead and do that. So he actually needed my consent that I should be okay with this. Without my consent, it was not possible for him to do the cord cutting. So that tantric knew that I was actually heavily protected by my ancestors, and he was again an evil person. So he wanted to remove ancestors' protection from my life. through that cord cutting. That's what he thought, and he needed my consent. So I said yes, and since then I actually started experiencing more and more health issues. But then I also realized one more truth: the kind of ancestors I have, that cord cutting wasn't even possible. Because in 2017, that tantric actually did several attacks to end my life, because I maintained distance from him. That time, I was not able to sleep at all when he started doing a lot of black magic to end my life. So that was the peak time of the darkest night of the soul. So in 2017, it was a time, one night I was actually lying on my bed and I was not sleeping, and I realized that there is a female spirit who has hugged me tightly like a grandmother, and taking care of grandchildren the way a grandmother's protect. So but I still got scared when she hugged me tightly, and I was already experiencing a lot of attacks through negative entities, and I kept on hearing things through entities. So I thought maybe it is one of that thing only. So I started chanting a protection prayer, and then she realized that I was scared, so she actually removed her hand from my body. So it was one of my powerful ancestor who has been worshipped as a god and goddess on earth. So there I realized that that cord cutting wasn't done, and it wasn't even possible, because if you have some idea that there are black magic practitioners who actually bind the ancestors of a particular family. So in my situation, it was not possible. So whichever way divine has designed this journey, in my twin flame journey, and when it comes about my ancestors, so it was not possible. That cord cutting or binding was not at all possible through any kind of black magic practitioners, because my ancestors are powerful ancestors who have been worshipped as gods and goddess on earth. So that was one of the realization that there are people who are tricksters, be it of tantric or other kind of magic practitioners, who try to remove the spiritual protection from your life in a tricky way. And now that was the realization that it was part of my 10 years of painful journey, that I had to observe and understand how people are actually doing shit to other people when it comes about playing with energies, specifically with black magic. So it's just that I had to clear the bloodline through spiritual practices and breaking toxic patterns and cycles. And as I have always been living a super conscious life since my childhood, so I have been so observant and never carried any toxic patterns from my immediate family, specifically karmic family. But after my awakening, I noticed that I do have some patterns in me which are passed on to me through DNA. So because of living a super conscious life, I was not carrying any kind of habit or in terms of patterns through my immediate karmic family. But then there were patterns which were passed on to me through DNA. So I noticed there were few habits which I recognized in within myself immediately from my karmic family, and that I was carrying through DNA unintentionally, because whenever I was able to recognize, I have been observant that I do not have any kinds of habits what my karmic family have. But then after awakening, I realized that I do have some patterns, and I had to remove those, because though it was fun, it were funny patterns, but then it was becoming a reason for a lot of financial losses in my life. So that I actually started breaking patterns one after another, and it actually took me a bit of time. So as I started breaking those patterns within myself, and I didn't have to tell anything to change to in my karmic parents. So but when I broke those patterns within myself, after some time I saw that they have also changed those habits. So that was amazing thing to see, that I didn't have to ask anyone to break any kind of negative or toxic patterns in themselves, though they are part of my immediate family. But then it's just that when I started making changes in my own life, they also started making changes in their life. So it all starts with a twin flame. First you will have to initiate the change within yourself, and then only you can see the change in your current family. I'll share rest of the information related to this video in another video, otherwise this video will become too long, and it is necessary for you to actually listen every guidance in related to this particular topic, because there is a shocking past life story how this bloodline was cursed. So when you hear all these things, and when you start doing your own healing, you will also be given guidance through your guides, through ancestors, and through other entities. So you will get to know what you have to notice and what you have to note down and what you have to ignore. So I'll share that in another video. So this was about today's video. I will see you in another video. Till then, take good care of yourself. Bye bye.